The French are just their own worst enemy.
Well, you know, one of my favorite jokes of all time is, you know why the French really hate Napoleon, right? Because he's the only Frenchman that ever had the drive to want to win.
No. It's a good one. They don't teach much about Napoleon anymore.
I used to work for a French company. Uh-oh. Actually, they got bought out by so many subsidiaries now, so I think the closest thing to French anymore that they have is probably armpit hair. So I think I'm safe.
Yeah, I don't know what they manufacture and export. I think tires. I think they own some tire companies.
Pirelli,
no,
Pirelli's Italian. Never mind.
What's that?
No, I was about to say Pirelli. I'm thinking, no, that's Italian. They did have Bugatti, but Volkswagen.
They bought over, I think, Michelin. I think Michelin and BFG, BF Goodrich, or Goodyear, one of the two.
Oh, good.
I have to look it up again. I was boycotting France.
Yeah, I've got I use a tire called Maxius on my Corvette. They were really popular in the four-wheeling circuit, and then they started getting into performance tires. And a few years back, I tried a set, and I was like, "Oh my God, these are, like $150 a tire at the time versus $300 a tire for freaking Goodyear F1s, and they just performed a heck of a lot better." I had that thing on Interstate 81 and Interstate 80. Actually, the best performance drag I ever did was on Interstate 380. I had that thing going a nice 130 miles an hour, and you would have thought you were driving on a cloud. And now every state trooper's going to be on I-380 now going, "I'm going to get Matt Heckman now. Yeah."
Well, they are listening to your local.
I know. I do have Republican committee members listening to this program. They're going to be, "Oh my God, I can't believe Matt Heckman's saying that." Take notice, I never get caught though. Because let me tell you something. The key
you might
to
now.
speeding.
You might want to move. You should move now. Since he said that. I can't believe I can say this, ladies and gentlemen, but it's actually happened. He talked about something in the show. He's being sarcastic. And his idiot committee member brings it up as...
the best one was when I was joking about, the joke about Eric Holder wanting to make interracial intercourse a hate crime.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Then that stupid, it was a state senator, Dalen Leach. That's a good idea. And I was I was joking sarcastically, making fun of Eric Holder. And this stupid ignoramus of a progressive, Dalen, that's a great idea. Heckman's actually got a great idea. He's actually smarter than I thought. And I'm like, oh my God. Matt, you gave them an idea. I was like, okay. All right, let me tell you something. If I make the joke, why did a chicken cross the road for it to get to the other side? Does that mean that I invented the idea for people to start taking random chickens and throwing them out in the middle of the street, hoping they're going to cross the road, and then it somehow becomes my fault if a bunch of cars come flying down the road and hit the stupid chickens?
Well, with the new patent law, you can run down and patent that, and then when they do it, they're going to owe you royalties for every chicken.
Every car that hits a chicken has to pay me a royalty. Oh boy! Now I'm gonna have PETA on me. Wait. Let's see. My next meeting is. Oh crap! That's next week. Oh man, I'm gonna have my Corvette ready now. I wanted to go out and cruise and stuff. I gotta go to the committee meeting. Darn. Okay. We're gonna pull up in the vet. I'll have the vet ready by next Saturday morning. Just look at me. The weather's nice, but I mean it's just really, really sad. But the key, the whole Interstate 380 thing. Let me tell you something. The key to speeding behind the wheel, folks, do not try to imitate what I'm about to say. I am being sarcastic and funny and hilarious. It's a joke, okay? So that means that I am not responsible unless I patent it first for people. There we go. I'll start patenting speeding, and then I can sue the state. I can sue the states that I get a cut out of every speeding ticket they write.
You could do that.
Idea. That's a brilliant idea.
Could do that.
I better get down to the patent office first thing Monday morning. I want to make a lot of money doing that.
Yeah, look at the attorney. Remember, he patented the podcasting. All the steps involved in podcasting, and he's currently suing a very popular podcaster.
He's suing the heck out of Adam Carolla. Yeah.
He's got a case. The law's on his side.
Yeah.
He filed. Carolla didn't file. You other podcasters didn't file. Oh no, I don't have to worry about it. I don't podcast. I do a live radio show that has recording. That falls outside the patent for podcasting.
Mm-hmm. But the key to speeding behind the wheel.
Speeding behind the wheel.
The key to speeding is...
How do you do it? Drive so fast that the cop goes, I'm not even going to bother.
Actually, I did have, I actually used to know quite a few state troopers in the old days on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. People who hung out with my uncle or this or that or whatever. And it was just one of those, bunch of buddies and I in the old days would go racing across the turnpike through the tunnels and everything else. And there was times that we could go over 100 miles an hour, and I remember a buddy of mine and myself, we both had Pontiac Sunbirds at the time, and we're flying like bats out of hell. We're like burying the needle at 100 miles an hour because that's as high as our speedometer would go. And there was one time we just drove past Stadies, and they're just waving, yeah. Would we do that today? Absolutely not. You got to keep in mind that we were unique teenage boys that had a lot of male hormones running through our body, and we weren't responsible for our actions. But no, the real key to speeding is always, and the thing is, progressives are the concepts of speed traps. This is what's hilarious. Progressivism loves speed limits. Progressivism loves speed traps. Progressivism loves the police state, and they love the
control.
Higher authority. So here's the thing that I'm going to take a page from progressivism. We love how progressives always quote Marx and Lenin and everything else. Well, let me tell you something. The key to speeding is to always make sure that you have a useful idiot. And how do you get a useful idiot on the road? Well, if you've been in Pennsylvania lately, quite a few of them. It's true. But basically, if you have an idiot that's driving, riding up your butt, and I do this with the Corvette all the time. Somebody's driving up my butt, and I'm going 80 miles an hour, and they want to fly past me going 110. What I'll do is let them pass me, and I'll lock my cruise control at 100 miles an hour, let the idiot in front of me go 110, 15, whatever, because he's the one that's going to come under the cop's radar and get pulled over. And he's your useful idiot. Do you know nobody's ever going to tailgate me again now in the Corvette?
I bet they will.
When they hear this, I can see this now. I'm going to be going up Interstate 80 by Monday. Well, actually, no. Well, they'll see the Corvette now. They'll be like, "I'm not going up his butt anymore." Yeah, but I mean, you always have a useful idiot in front of you. Speeders are major adrenaline junkies, ignorant speeders. So they go through. They feel that they have to be the front of the pack all the time. Honestly, I'll admit, it's a male testosterone kind of thing. We love to be in the front. We love to lead the pack. That without a shadow of a doubt. So what I do is I've been smart enough for several years to exploit that situation. It's like, what is that? What is the old Oak Ridge Boys song? No matter how high I get, and part of the lyrics there, you always be number one, I'll settle for number two. Well, when you're driving on the road and you have a useful idiot like that, you can always settle for number two because the useful idiot is always going to get pulled over by the cop when he catches him on radar because, number one, the cop's going to get more money out of him, so he'll pull him over. And two, if I'm going 100 and another guy's going 120, they'll pull the 120 guy, like I said, they'll ream and make an example out of him and everything else. And then if I start seeing the cops going up the guy's butt, pulling him over, and this is one thing I'm notorious for, driving by and honk, honk, wave, wave. Yeah, sometimes the occasional thumbs up and the grin. And the dude, you ought to see the dudes, man, when that happens. That's happened a few times over the years with me. Boy, if looks could kill Brian, you would, oh my God, I probably would have been chopped liver. That guy like looking at me like, you SOB. Yeah. But, I mean, I did that on 380 once, up around near Scranton region and everything else, and this guy is just riding my butt as I'm passing a guy. I'm going like maybe about 90 in the left lane. And yes, I'm going to redistribute this on YouTube because this is valuable lessons in Matt Heckman driving. So I'm going 90. A guy's, got some little cowboys riding up my butt. Even though I'm like consistently passing a trucker going 90 miles an hour, I'm still not going fast enough for him. Okay, fine. I pass the trucker, get over, let him get in, and fly through. And I just continue to do 90 miles an hour, and he's flying off. He's got to be going over 100 easy. And boom, cop catches him. And keep notice, like I said, when I do this, I only do this in the Corvette. I do not do this any other time. Just disclosure. And, I have normal mode and I have, Matt's out for a thrill ride mode. But that is the lesson in speeding, folks. Always have a useful idiot. If somebody's going 85, you can follow them going 80. The cop's going to nail the guy going 85 miles an hour. And I'm sure Joseph Brown with the Fraternal Order of Police down toward Berks County, he's probably listening too, and he's probably like taking notes. I can probably hear the striking of his felt pen on the crappy little Trapper Keeper notepad that he still carries around since 1987, going, okay, I got Matt Heckman by the nuts now. Yeah. But there is such a thing as safe driving. You can safely drive at 90 miles an hour. And a lot of these interstates, you got to realize when they were designed, they were designed with the intentions of going those speeds. So, hence the term reasonable and prudent. If I'm driving a Corvette, reasonable and prudent for me could be 100 miles an hour. I can take turns, and you'd think you're driving on a cloud. Now, if I take out a Chevy Cruze and go 100 miles an hour, maybe that's not so reasonable and prudent because my wheels are more narrow, my engine's only a 4-cylinder in that case, and everything else. So reasonable and prudent and you ought to know this, Brian, being in Montana, they followed that example before Roscoe put that 75 mile an hour piece of crap in. And, people were like that. Cops were like, oh, this guy's driving a Camaro. It's more reasonable and prudent for him to do 100 miles an hour because he's got the performance tires and everything else and blah, blah, blah. But if I see a little golf cart Ford Festiva driving around, it's not very reasonable, safe, nor prudent to do 100 miles an hour in that car. So, or what another thing the cops used to do is they knew the standard speed rating on passenger tires for like Chevy Cavaliers versus Z-rated tires for Corvettes, Mustangs, Camaros, Firebirds, Trans Ams, and everything else. And they knew what the speed limitations on those tires were, and that's what they used to use as a blueprint to know when people were not being reasonable or prudent, because if they were using their tires beyond the manufacturer's specifications, then that's no longer reasonable and prudent.
Yep, but, Montana folded because they lost all their highway funds. So they had to go back to speed limit.
I thought it was because of a guy in a Camaro. He got pulled over and said that, he was reasonable and prudent for his car or whatever, and he fought it up to the state Supreme Court in Montana and actually won. And then I thought that's what led up to it, or at least that's what Wikipedia says. But Wikipedia, anything that's in Wikipedia is 100% true. Cough, cough, laugh, laugh.
That's full of self-aggrandizing experts. No, it was about the highway. It was the highway. Just think about it. It's all about the money.
Mm-hmm.
No one gave a crap about the guy ticket, and nobody here cared. The cop cared. The court might have cared. None of us cared. We were like, there's no speed limit. Let him alone. Leave him alone. I don't drive that fast anymore because I don't have vehicles that I should be driving that fast anymore. But I'll tell you another way to safely speed. And by the way, I have watched them set up speed traps for people just like you. They'll have 3 trooper cars sitting there. The first one goes out, and the second one waits for the second guy. Third one waits for the third guy. And
if I was in Colorado, if I was in Ohio troopers, I know on the Ohio Turnpike do that. But here's the thing: I know how stretched thin that the Pennsylvania State Police are. They don't have the manpower for that. So that's how I know.
But you don't understand. You're on their hit list, and you already told them where you go.
All right, I'm not going to use 380 for a very long time, okay? I know I'm going to be running the Corvette in come next week, and everybody's going to be, I already heard a bunch of fraternal order police guys on their Facebook page, oh man, we're gunning for you, Heckman. We're going to gun for you. We know. You know what? I'm serious. I'm going to take the Corvette out this weekend, and Scout's honor, I am not going to break the speed limit.
There you go.
I'm dead serious. I am not going to break the speed limit. I am going to go on a cruise with the roof off. I am going to play Joe Cool that entire weekend. Scout's honor. I am going to be a very, very, very. I am going to be a role model to my community, and I know this.
Well, I can tell you another thing.
The rooster doesn't buy it either. Sarcasm.
The other safe way is to have a badge. If you have a badge.
Oh yeah, you ever see cops flying down the road?
Me, when I was a paramedic, we had badges in New York City too, and they'd always let you go. But most of my speed was in my ambulance. Yeah. So
but yeah, the Ohio
Turnpike. You want to talk about 100 miles an hour?
Yeah.
I was in an 11,000-pound ambulance on the BQE, and I had to go there was nobody available. I had to go from one side of Brooklyn. Actually, I was in Queens, outside of the border of Brooklyn. I had to go to the other side of Brooklyn, and so I was able to jump on a highway. I mean, even the back roads, I drive ridiculously fast. But I actually got that thing up to MPH. That's where you run out of numbers because it just says MPH at the bottom, and it doesn't go any higher. I was doing MPH, and the thing started rattling about 80, 85 miles an hour. I can start to feel it, vibration. And I just kept going, man. I was shooting down. There's like nobody. It's late into the early morning kind of night. So there's like very few cars. I was just in the left-hand lane and flying license sirens. And the thing starts really shaking. And shaking even more. My partner's son, Brian, I'm like, what? Do you think you need to slow down? Like, nah. It just kept vibrating, shimmying. And I get it up to where it's at its max, and the whole thing is going. I mean, bad. Really bad. But it wasn't affecting my ability to steer, so I was like, well, screw it. And I just kept going like that. And I got there in less than 10 minutes. That's a good response time. Now, that's a fun way of getting away with driving life really, really fast, and no one can do anything about it. But I don't know. Well, you might want to be convinced now. You ought to go take that job as an ambulance driver if you're not working. Just saying, that's how I started. I mean, I didn't know I wanted to be a paramedic. I just saw I said, I was looking through the paper, and I went, I've never done that before. Ambulance driver, yeah, I've driven everything else, so I'd go do that. So I applied for the job, got the job. I was surprised I got the job because I was in a band at the time and I had long hair. I didn't really think he was going to hire me, but I was wearing a three-piece suit when I came to the interview. So yes, I did get the job. I don't think he ever saw anyone come to his interview in a three-piece suit before. But yeah, I started out, just driving ambulance. Just no special license, no special anything, and worked my way up. And I ended up being a New York City paramedic. And who'd have thunk it? But boy, all my skills from driving were racing when I was younger. They sure came in handy, boy. When I was at the academy, we had to go through the emergency vehicle operation course, like the ones the cops do. And I was the only one that was just like flying through the course. It was like nothing to me. They're all running over cones and going flying off the course. And I'm really getting cracked up because I know two of them never driven anything. They didn't even have a driver's license. And they would go, can you help me? And I'm like, what do you mean lessons? I don't have anything to give you lessons in. And look, just go rent the truck, like a U-Haul truck. It looks, kind of like this thing, and go drive around a parking lot and practice. It's not that hard. That's how everyone. By the way, I try to learn how to drive in the parking lot. So
I think we all learned how to drive through the parking lot.
I was younger. I did a lot of crazy stuff, but racing was the fun thing.
How old were you when you had to first learn the stick shift?
Well, I learned right away. My first vehicle was a Standard.
Oh, sweet.
And it was the first time I'd ever driven one. But yeah, it was my very first vehicle. It was a Volkswagen Beetle. Great car. By the way, the max speed of a Volkswagen Beetle is 70 miles an hour. At least that year. I'm not kidding you. I used to even try and race around in that thing. I get a car full of my fellow teenagers, and I go driving around, and they'd always go, "Oh, well, drive fast." So I say I drive really fast. I was able to put that up on two wheels pretty easily around corners.
Oh my God! Oh man.
Yes, that was fun.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Oh my God! It reminds me of a friend of mine because you bring up the Volkswagen Beetle. I had a good friend of mine in high school, Steve Heckman. No direct relation. Good high school buddy. There was like a core four of us, a clique of us, the four of us. It was myself, Lee Ludwig, Steve Mamler, Steve Heckman. And Steve Heckman, he had this 1990 Ford Festiva. And this thing, I kid you not, it was a hemorrhoid on wheels. He had the windows tinted. He had a straight pipe exhaust system running out of the back of a Ford Festiva. This thing, basically, man, this thing sounded like Grandpa crapping in his Depends everywhere it went. and he would burn rubber with this thing so bad and beat the crap out of it. And I knew his maximum speed on that was just under 80 miles an hour because I will never forget the one time he took it out on Fifth Street Highway and he thought he was going to do like some kind of NASCAR insanity crap. He slams the car to downshift it into second to like throw himself back when he should have threw it into fourth, and he dropped the transmission. It was a stick shift. And I wasn't there for it personally. My friend Lee was with him. And they pulled over. And I actually had a cell phone in 1996. Yes, I'm cool. I had a brick from Bell Atlantic Mobile, I will admit. And it was weird because I was actually out with my mom. We were picking up some stuff at I think it was it was a home home center, like it was called Heckinger's at the time. This was like before Lowe's and Home Depot and everything, but out toward the Berks County area it was a store called Heckinger's. And like home improvement supply place or whatever, and I was picking up a bunch of basement paint because I was waterproofing my mom's basement for her. But needless to say, my phone rings as we're coming out of Heckinger, and I kept it in the car, and I pick it up, and it's my buddy Steve Heckman, and he's crying, and I'll never forget, he's crying in the background going, Maddie, I need your help. I'm like, what happened? I'm like, yeah, Steve, what happened? He's like, my dad's going to kill me. So I was like, all right, I got to drop my mom off and I'll swing by. And this was our first day of our senior year in high school when this happened. We were like polishing all our cars and everything. We thought we were we thought we were just super awesome, okay? We were just 17-year-old kids. We thought we were the coolest things on God's green earth at the time. And it was like, yeah, we're going to pick up girls and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I'm driving on Fifth Street Highway, and as I'm driving down the road where he broke down, I am seeing car parts for a half a mile scattered all over Fifth Street Highway. That transmission blew into smither freaking reams. And I get over there, and his older brother's already there, laughing at him. Dad's gonna kick your ass. He's just rubbing it, and he's standing there crying. And I looked over the transmission. The shifter was just like hanging down. Steve was holding on to the shifter to literally keep. He was with the power of his freaking arm. He's just holding on to the transmission, dragging it on Fifth Street Highway, going 80 miles an hour and slowly decelerating. It was the freakiest thing I ever saw. And I was like, you literally held that whole transmission with your arm. And Steve's a strong dude, and I just was totally shocked on this. And basically, the end of the night, we pushed his Festiva all the way home to his parents' apartment complex, which was maybe about 2 miles down, and most of it was downhill grade from there. And then we had to get it over. We couldn't get over the speed bump, and there were so many guys. They were literally picking it up like a chariot. A Ford Festiva is pretty light, so if you have like 6 or 8 strong guys, you could pick that car up easy. And they parked it, and Steve became my senior year carpool buddy up until about February, March of '96. But man, his dad, this is an era of responsibility, no entitlement. His dad made him save up and pay for every piece of damage that he did out of being an ignorant idiot that night. And you know what? He never, ever did it again.
Well, now you know why race cars have to have a steel plating around the tunnel, so that when you frag the clutch, it doesn't kill you. He could have died. Both of you could have actually. Could have easily been
that tranny down an asphalt road. And they just repaved Fifth Street Highway at the time, so they were just totally ticked off.
Oops.
Oops.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
man, this would be a good time for...
I did that with an automatic transmission just once. I was racing around shifting it, first, second, third, but it wasn't set up for it. The stock shifter didn't have a stop to prevent you from making the mistake of missing B and ending up in R, from first, second, third. And there I am going down the highway, and I go to shift into third, and I missed it, and I shoved it up in reverse. Immediately shoved it back in drive. But I didn't notice anything wrong. I drove my cousin home, and I went to leave my cousin's house, and it wouldn't go forward. I'm like, what the hell? So I'm looking, no transmission leaking or anything. Take the transmission fluid, it's there. Go back in, no drive. I'm like, put it in reverse, and it works. Put it back in drive, it doesn't work. So my cousin Jim's like, well, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to drive home in reverse. He's like, it's like 40 miles. Are you crazy? I'm like, well, it only works in reverse. And may I point out, it's a 67 Chevelle that's jacked up in the rear with 50 G50s in the rear. That's before they got into the weird metric stuff. Big, huge black tires, And I'm driving backwards on a highway that has lights, if you can imagine it. So I'm driving, I'm stopping at the lights and stuff, and like everybody's looking at me. Like you get the second look, like, what the hell? And then the light turns green and they're watching you, and I just start driving away. Driving down reverse. I drove all the way home in reverse. I had to drive 55 miles an hour because that was the speed
limit. Oh man, try doing that today.
You can still do it out here.
Cop pulling you over. Hey, officer, I'm arriving alive. I'm driving 55.
That's right. I don't know what they could have did about it. It's like, what would you do? Oh, can you imagine the cop trying to sit there and look? By the time he tried to figure it out, it'd be gone. But like, there's no law for that.
Did you see a car driving down an interstate going in reverse at 55 miles an hour?
Nope, I was driving forward. I like to jack up the front end. That would have been something I would have said. This is the front of the vehicle. I mean, he couldn't do nothing. It's like, well, you got no headlights. It's not nighttime.
Could have told him it was a Chevy Corvair where the engine was in the back.
No, that thing was.
And then
like
Ralph Nader could have Ralph Nader could have went to bat for you.
No, Chevelle's a bigger car. You couldn't pull that one off. I don't know. Nobody pulled me over. Nobody bothered me. I had an uneventful trip all the way home, which was pleasant. I had to change the transmission, obviously. But that's another story. Try doing that without a jack.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No, I need to jack my stuff up to get under that. Especially with the Corvette, man. That car being low as it is. No way.
Oh yeah.
My 12-year-old son couldn't even, get his chest underneath the nose of the Corvette without a jack.
Well, I could get under there, but I couldn't get the transmission on top of my chest to push it up because it wasn't that high off the ground. So I actually had to do it like behind my head to get it up and then kind of scoot under it. And then I had to try and hold it up while I'm trying to put a bolt in at the same time with the bell housing. Oh, man, you should have heard the language out of that 16-year-old kid in the driveway, boy. I was cursing. I was out there a whole day trying to do that because I kept not being able to do it. I had to keep taking breaks because I couldn't lift it after a while. That was almost as bad as rebuilding the engine in the wintertime, cleaning it with gasoline, but there's no heat. It's just gasoline and steel wool and then running in the house and trying to run it into some cold water to warm it up. Stupid stuff you do. When they did that, when I was young, kids didn't have everything. It was like, oh, you're going to work on a car, I'm going to buy you every tool you need, give you a place to work, nice jacks. No. I was on my own. It's like I had to buy it all myself.
That's how I did it with my tools. I had you know what? I'm going to make the upfront investment and do this stuff myself from here on out. I'm going to get my ramps, going to get my jack stands, going to get my low-profile forward jack for my Corvette. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And, every task, most of your tasks with a car, 90% of it's easy. if you have the right tools. And a lot of people that complain about how hard things can be, it's not that it's hard, you don't have the right tools. You know, we go back to the concept of the Phillips head screwdriver. Can you unscrew it with a flathead screwdriver? Yes. But is it the most efficient way to do it? No, it is not. And, you know, basically that's what we get in Washington, D.C. all the time is we have people trying to screw things with a flathead screwdriver, and the head of the screws are Phillips. And that's just being modest.
I think the heads are Roberts. Oh, you guys know about Roberts? Canadian.
No.
They're the only ones that latched onto the Roberts head. It's a square head bit. So you put a square bit inside of it. It's an excellent traction. It's almost never strip them out. But it'd be like trying to use a Phillips on that.
Well, yeah,
that's more like our company.
Phillips are getting phased out now. I'm seeing a lot more. I guess they actually want to start pushing torques. Yeah, they want to see more torques because hence the word, you can put more torque behind the screw if you have to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're past the break, I've been reminded, and when we come back, we promise to find something to talk about the Constitution.
Oh, yes. Very entertaining. That's why we put in the description. The Constitution, current events, and a lot of fun stuff in between. So